Underrated.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Pittsburgh Current podcast. See, that was a better open than the first open you all didn't hear.
Wait, I don't. Are we live? Okay. Yeah. All right. Do it.
Yeah.
Go. Yes.
I'm so glad you're here. Bethany Ruhe is here, as you heard, for our last podcast of 2018. 2018. It's been a long year. And so, no, but we've had a great year, and that's what we're going to talk about today. This week's Pittsburgh Current is on the streets. It's in your local bars and restaurants and libraries, as my hero, the Fonz, used to say. And it's our year-end issue, and we sort of took the tact of a year in review from the pages of the Pittsburgh Current. So that means anything that happened before July 11th, we didn't really talk about too much. Because, again, there's not a whole lot that we want to talk about that happened before July 11th. But, yeah, so that's the day the Pittsburgh Current went live, and we had our year in review issue this week. And today, no guest. It's just Bethany and I chilling like it was for the first podcast of the year. And this is we're going to take your questions. Ask us anything you like. Mm-hmm. My mom's out there. Please vet her questions very, very carefully.
If you see a question comes through, why don't you call me more? That's Charlie's
mom. Yeah. So anyway, let's start a little bit. Well, one thing I think actually we'll start with an announcement that we actually mentioned in the paper, and we're going to have more details. Either later this week or right after the holidays. So the Pittsburgh Current is launching. We're launching two boards, and we're looking for members of the public as well as members of our business community to apply to become members of our board. So the first is we're looking for a Pittsburgh Current Business Advisory Board, and we're looking for basically a board of directors to come on with folks with some experience in various backgrounds, such as startups and, maybe someone from the legal community, perhaps someone from the accounting and finance community. And we're also looking for people from the sort of community engagement communities, just some regular folks from the community to come on and help us make sure that we're guiding our business, that we're taking our business in the right direction, that we're fulfilling all the promises that we made, that we are acting, that we, and help us come up with growth strategies. And so we'll be putting up a full description for that, and you can email. A couple of people have actually already been very nice. A couple of people have already kind of thrown their name in the mix. It's some good folks, and we're definitely looking to get some more. So you can email if you just want to get a little information. I can give it to you before we put the big write-up out, but charlie@pittsburghcurrent.com. You can also get us on our Facebook page and our Twitters at PGH Current. But then the second board, which I actually, as an editor, as a writer, which I'm excited for, is we're starting a community editorial board. And so this group will meet most likely quarterly, and we'll talk about what we can do better as a newspaper, not necessarily, one is for the business side. This is to really kind of look at our editorial focus. What kinds of things are we writing that people enjoy, that people think is a good way, but how can we be better in the community? And also, if there are some things that we should be focusing on and editorializing on, we want input from the community on that as well. So we'll be putting up descriptions for those two panels very soon. Bethany, anything you'd like to say about that as far as the purpose?
Just briefly, I think it's really proof of our dedication to being the absolute best publication we could be. We really do want to surround ourselves with the experts to help us grow, and we really are excited to get some more like-minded people that are passionate like we are on board to just blow the roof off this thing in 2019.
Yeah.
So I want exciting, awesome people to join us. So if that sounds like you, email Charlie.
And if you ever want to take a survey of how much you don't know in life, Start a business.
Yes,
and
exactly.
You find out pretty quick what you don't know.
Turns out I didn't know a lot, but I'm learning every day.
And it turns out, when you think, well, I know a lot about one thing, and sometimes those things transfer, and sometimes they don't. But it's been a great experience. It's almost, for me, it's almost kind of like this is the dream I didn't know I had, sort of a thing. Like I knew that journalism was going to be is what I always wanted to do. I wanted to be a journalist. I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be an investigative reporter, and I've done all of those things, but I didn't know that that eventually I felt like I would need to, in order to be the kind of journalist that I would want to be as sort of the career went on, that we would need an outlet like this to, in order to have complete editorial freedom. And sometimes I forget that I have complete editorial freedom, and you're thinking, I better run this up the flagpole, when you realize
you are the flagpole.
When you realize you are the flagpole, right? It's a little strange sometimes when you're looking for someone to tell you what to do, but it's also very it's also kind of freeing in a way when you do make that realization that, oh, hey, I am the buck actually does stop here. It's not just so. So Bethany, what would you say is the one thing that you were surprised to learn, or what was one of the things that most surprised you about starting a newspaper? I'm sure there were thoughts, but was there one
fact
thing
that we did it?
Right, right. But was there one thing in particular where you were kind of like, wow, that was really, I didn't know we had to do that?
Well,
besides text.
Yeah, distribution kind of caught me off guard.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I would say, the whole thing was a revelation for me. I mean, obviously, we did this really quickly, and I think that was, and I've said this before, I think that was probably the best thing we could have done.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I don't think we would have done it. I think it definitely caused some problems that I feel like we've solved since then.
We have. Yeah, we've solved some problems. We've created some new problems, and trying to solve those too. And
but the fact that we got it up and out in 6 weeks, to me, that said to me, well, then we could do this again. Obviously it wasn't perfect, but it was, in every issue, I think we solve another problem that we discovered on the first issue. So to me, it was like, it's not impossible. It's difficult as things could be. And, a lot of times I've never personally let not knowing how to do something stop me from doing it, as my family could attest to over various meals that I've made and things of that nature. But you just got to jump in. You just have to believe you could do it. And we did it. And it made me confident from that very first issue that any issues that did come up, we're going to solve together. And that's been the case. Yeah.
And it's probably no surprise. And, this is, I don't know if a lot of people would talk about this, and they're coming out their first year in business. But one of the first things, and it shouldn't surprise you, but you're like, hey, geez, it takes a couple bucks to do this, and worrying about, and there are just so many extra things, especially cash flow and getting people paid on time. And look, it's been rough sometimes, and sometimes things you've never done before, you're like, oh my God, I got this going or that going. And it's, I feel like we've been doing the best we can, and I feel like we've been really getting the right people in place to solve those problems.
Yeah, I think people forget that we are a startup. We've been in business since July, and I think considering that, I was thinking about this morning when I was getting ready. I look around our office up here in Beachview, which we're bursting at the seams.
Yeah.
And I cannot believe what we've built in that short amount of time.
Yeah.
We really thought it was going to be me and you and a couple freelancers for a year at least.
A year easy.
And we've got 10 employees up there. And,
we do.
Are we perfect? No. But I don't think that we should be perfect right now. I don't think any entity's perfect. But what we've done in such a short amount of time, I'm really, really proud of it. And I do agree. I think we've got an amazing group of people.
Yeah.
But I think people do need to realize, we are a startup, and we are growing and learning. And thankfully, we have been #blessed with amazing people.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and those are all the functions. The functions of a business is really, for me, has been the thing, and it's it's the newspaper. I don't want to say the newspaper part of it is easy, because it's not, but it's at least it's in my wheelhouse. It's what I've done for more than 25 years, and so so we're working on getting those business functions working like a well-oiled machine, and bringing on operations director Thry Devlin has has helped a lot, because that took a lot of stuff off of our plates that we were trying to juggle as well. So
I feel bad when we make her cry with all the work we have her doing. We love you, Thoraya. No, I'm just kidding. She's amazing. She's
yeah,
a game
absolutely,
changer.
absolutely. And a lot of those processes are getting streamlined, and so they'll be better in the future. So that's because I'm the type of person. I mean, one goal that I've always had, that I have with this, and it will continue to be a goal, which is, as someone who worked as a freelance writer for a lot of years, getting paid a decent wage is something, or a decent amount for your stories. And so that's something that we're striving for. And, I probably started a little too vigorous in the very beginning. And, so we've had to sort of, write our rates a little bit. And, but the writers that we've had, I want to thank you guys very much, for sticking with us through all of our glitches and all of our deadlines, and really we couldn't have done it without you guys, and the fact that you guys have been so willing to work with us and just offer suggestions has been really great. And we really couldn't do it without our staff of freelance contributors. We really wouldn't be able to do this. So we're very fortunate to have the people that we have there, and as well as our staffers. I think we assembled a pretty good core of people to start us off. So I want to say thank you to all of those folks as well. So moving on from that, so we did our year in review issue, and one of the things that we talked about was, of course, the year in review of the Pittsburgh Current. And for me personally, I wrote in this piece, and I'll say it publicly here. I didn't think so necessarily when it happened, but losing my previous job was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because again, and I don't say that with any sort of like malice toward anyone, my former employer, whatever. I mean, sometimes those are the nudges you need to move on and to do, to do the thing. So really, by insulting you, they were just helping you. They were just giving you a kick in the keister.
Well, no, I had come off of, when I joined our previous employer, I was coming off of being let go from a job. So I had also gotten worked out of my previous role, and it was terrible. And I was pretty vocal about it on social media. Because I think that there's still like a level of shame, sort of, and like people, it's hard for people to talk about, especially if they didn't want to leave that job. And I was pretty vocal about it, and there's a lot of feelings of shame and inadequacy, and especially in my position and yours, we'd been in our jobs for a long time. I mean, I'd been in my role for over 8 years, and I'd done a lot of big things with them. And, at some point, your personal identity, rightly or wrongly, gets wrapped into your career.
No, it is. It's absolutely who
And when they tell you they don't want you anymore, it's like, well, then who am I even? And I struggled for a little bit. But everybody that I talked to that had gone through it said the same thing. They said, you don't believe me now, but this is going to end up being the best thing that happened to you. And over time, I realized how right they were. And it took a while. But yeah, I mean, it is, because I think it forces you to find your own way. Yeah. And this is the way we found. I'm going to break into song, Charlie. Let's
maybe at the end. Maybe at the end.
Yeah, I just think it forces you. I think people get comfortable, and that's fine. And that's great. And that's a good place to be too. But when you're uncomfortable, I think is when you really make, astounding discoveries about yourself. So.
Absolutely. And that's what I feel like sometimes I think we're even hard on ourselves because we found some success pretty early. And then, we're like, hey, why aren't we still growing at that clip that we had initially? And so it's, you get that point where where things are going very well, but you did so well in the beginning. You're like, we should be moving faster and faster and faster and growing, faster and faster and faster. But we're doing well, especially I think for starting it sort of with a wing and a prayer and $25 and a Kickstarter, and we're. Yeah,
I mean, right now I literally have 100 racks that we're going to be putting out into the wild in the next couple weeks. Brandy's spanking new. We've got about 15 street boxes that we're going to be putting out. The thing of it, like, we just have to be realistic about our growth, right? Like we are definitely growing. I mean, we're adding new locations every week still. But I think you have to, at some point you have to be responsibly growing, right? Which is what I think we're doing now. Like, yes, I would love to just paper the entire city, right? Which we're trying to do, but
Yeah.
then we wouldn't be able to survive. So it's like that balance, you know. You
Yeah.
want to read us? You got.
We are getting. I'm very excited about those new racks that are coming out because I'm going to be honest. I don't want to mention any names, but if we find you on our second shelf, it's going to be hell to pay.
We're looking at you, Green Tree Times,
Mount Lebanon Magazine.
South Hills Messenger. What? No, it's so we were talking before about things that you didn't realize you were gonna have with this new role.
Yeah.
I never in my life thought I would ever walk into a Sheets and go, oh, South Hills Messenger's here. How'd they do that? I never
Right.
thought a goddamn thing about it.
Yeah.
Like I'm consumed. Like I gravitate. My eye gravitates towards wire racks in a way that never happened before
Yeah.
this job. I never care.
I sort of eye them up almost like with a. I wonder if I could get that out of here without somebody noticing.
Oh yeah.
You ever walk into a little store, it's like, little mom and pop out somewhere, and you're like, you don't have any, because there are so few daily papers, if there are any at all left anymore at this point.
Not in Pittsburgh.
You're thinking, we could probably put those to better use. If anyone has any newspaper racks or boxes, please feel free
If
to
you'd
bring
like to
them
donate any of the
drop
Pittsburgh
them,
Current.
drop them to the Pittsburgh Current office.
No questions asked.
No questions asked.
No, it's
Please don't steal boxes on our behalf. I should probably say that.
if we had a lawyer, they would probably kill. We do have a lawyer, Brian
We
Tuck.
do
He's
have a lawyer.
amazing. We love
Yeah,
him.
yeah, yeah.
We're just kidding.
Yeah, he would definitely say, don't steal boxes for us. And I would agree.
All right, so Charlie, let me ask you a question. What was your
Just kidding.
favorite story that you wrote in 2018, starting July 11th?
Starting with July 11th. Yeah, that's a good. Honestly, I don't know about favorite, but I think that the one that I felt like sort of was my I felt like I was kind of in full swing was the piece that I wrote this week on Pittsburgh City Council's and the mayor's the proposed gun legislation, the gun control legislation that they're bringing in. Again, look, I'm Mr. Gun Control. I believe in there has to be limits and on how many guns you can buy and how much ammunition you can buy, and certain types of weapons need to be banned, and and listen, if there wasn't a gun out there, that'd be fine with me, but I don't believe that this is going to make any difference. I believe this was a giant press conference with a lot of dignitaries able to come out and show that they're going to do something. And the reason is it's not. I mean, this isn't just blind skepticism. This is the city did this in 2008, I believe. The correct date's in the story, but I believe it was 2008. The city did this. They really, and led by former Councilman Doug Shields, who believes in the legislation to this day, and also then Councilman Bill Peduto. Basically, it was a lost and stolen gun ordinance, which basically said if you lose your firearm, you're required to report it. If you don't report it and that gun is later used in a crime, you're on the hook. And they did that knowing that it was going to be challenged in court, and they did that knowing that they were going to be sued, but that was the whole idea. And I supported that move. I thought that was a great sort of, that was a kind of putting your neck on the line for something you believe in kind of a move. So, and then under former Mayor Luke Ravenstahl, he didn't enforce it. And former police administrations, they didn't enforce the law. And, I wrote several stories. My colleague and friend Rebecca Addison wrote several stories about the fact that this wasn't done. And when Bill Peduto ran for mayor the first time, he pledged that he would immediately start enforcing the lost and stolen gun ordinance. Easy call, I would think, because it was his ordinance to begin with. So he didn't do it. In fact, there were stories that Rebecca wrote. He backed off and said, well, if we do that, we're going to be sued and we'll likely lose. Well, you knew that when you enacted the law. So when I see them now, they want to ban assault weapons and various things. I have no reason to believe that these laws will be enforced. They'll be voted in. There'll be great fanfare. There'll be national headlines, just as this press conference got some national headlines. But I would love it if they do. But let me say that, like, I'm not against having these things. I just don't think that they'll be enforced. I don't think it was anything beyond a And I said photo up in my story, and I that's what I meant, certainly, but I don't think it was out of any sort of, I mean, it's a reaction certainly to the Tree of Life situation. But I just think at the end of the day that doing things like this on a quote unquote symbolic level is worse than not doing anything at all. I mean, your efforts would be better spent lobbying the state and the federal government. So
I think the far preferable press conference would have been them coming out saying they passed the legislation.
well, that they enforced it. Oh, look,
I'm sorry, yes, that they enforced
yeah,
the
we
legislation
actually
passed,
we actually arrested someone for selling an assault weapon, or we this book that's been on the laws now for 9 or 10 years. Oh, look, we finally enforced this when we found a gun that was never reported stolen. So, but that was sort of that's the kind of stuff that I always like to do at my previous employer, and the stuff I've always liked to do. I've always liked to do sort of. I've really gotten into. I enjoy doing commentary and fact-based commentary, of course, and not just blind opinion. Although I've done a few of those too in my day, but that was really a piece that I sort of felt, sort of started with me and sort of put an opinion out there that wasn't being shared in the last week or so when this was all kind of going down. But as far as for the whole, the one issue, I mean, we had so many great things. Our very first news story that Rebecca did on the
crisis pregnancy
centers,
that's one of my
right?
favorite
Yeah,
stories.
it was. It's a great story, and it came at a great time when these kind of things were really, really sort of out there en masse. So that was a great one. I loved our football issue. We didn't do a Steelers issue. We did a football issue, and that was we from Pee Wee on up to the pros, and I enjoyed that issue. But just that idea of trying to sort of rethink how we do things. But it's weird when we think back. We've had 11. We did 11 issues this year,
11.
And we'll do more than double that next year, obviously. And
God willing, the creek don't rise.
So we're looking forward to. What about you? Was the Crisis Pregnancy Center your favorite piece that we did?
It was one of my favorite pieces for sure. I mean, I love mostly everything that Rebecca does. I really like that story. I got breaking news into my blood with the Chargers Steelers story. I mean, having not come from a journalism background, I mean, I was a PR person and marketing, so this is really my first foray into actual. And I mean, it is like a drug. I mean, I can see now why people chase stories and want to break them. I mean, it was like, my heart beating, like I was sweaty, and I mean, it was just. I see now why people want to go into journalism and be on that side of it, because it was. I mean, that was a real treat for me. Not a treat. That's a terrible way to say it. Somebody got into.
I know what you mean.
What I mean.
We've talked about that. It's really journalists, especially when we're together talking, probably are the worst people in the world, because in order for us to have a quote unquote great story or a good story, unfortunately, a lot of times that means something really shitty happened to someone else. And so it's a fine line, because, the main goal is to get out the story, and it's not about, how much it, but when you're, especially the chase of that story can be, it can be, exhilarating as you're not this story per se, but but there's just, when you're chasing down on a deadline, and I'm sure any journalist out there can attest to that. It's a different, definitely a different kind of high, I guess, so to speak.
Well, that was my first taste of that. So that was probably one of my more memorable moments of our year together.
And it also happened on a Monday, which is it happened on a production day Monday.
Yeah, we could go to print Monday night.
Yeah, we go to a peek behind. So our paper goes to print on Monday night. Our deadline is 2 p.m. in the afternoon for our pages. We've never hit that.
Oh my God!
Although we're now sending pages before 2 p.m., which is something that the printer is happy with, I'm sure. But that day, and it kind of goes to the whole startup thing, which is like staffing levels. So our great new art director, Emily McLaughlin, and I, we typically are the two that are there to the end, making sure the paper everything's finished up and everything's sent to the printer. And I'm pretty sure that because, I spent a good part of that day running down this story, I'm pretty sure that was easily a 20-hour day.
Yeah.
I think I got to the office around 8:30 in the morning on Monday, and I think I got home at about 3:40 on Tuesday morning. So it was one of those. But those are great days. Like when you're doing your own thing and it's kind of it's exciting when you're doing it for yourself and for a great group of people. So.
Yeah, you kind of have to put in the long hours. You really don't have anybody to delegate.
Right?
To.
Yeah. There's no. There's
Could
no.
you take care of this for me? Who are you talking to? Myself. It's just me.
Yeah. Well, and I have done a pretty good job of making everybody feel guilty about my long hours.
Yeah.
Paul Klaskin gave me two Kevin Hart tickets earlier this year because he's like, here, you work real hard, which is very nice. So I try, now that I know that I can get things, I try and I complain more often. Like I'm getting ready to work fainting into my repertoire as I'm walking, just
That's good to
pass
know.
out from exhaustion.
Well, I'm gonna have
Keep that to
get
yourself.
A fainting couch on the list of supplies. And sorry if I keep coughing over here. I feel like I sound like Kathleen Turner coming off a bender, but my son has been sick for days and has just been hacking in my face, and it's finally, I think, gotten to me. So.
That was one of my favorite. My favorite assignments. This was back, I think, in 2000 or 2001. And listen, I'm a child born in the 70s, growing up in the 80s. Kathleen Turner was coming to do a fundraiser at the YMCA, the YWCA downtown. And we got this press release, and I was like, holy cow. And in my head, of course, young single guy like myself living in the big city, I was going to go and woo 50-some-year-old Kathleen Turner off her feet because she was one of my childhood crushes, and was just walk in the room and she's like, you never, and I'm like, oh yeah, she's the best, she's the greatest. But yeah, that was one of my just being in a room with Kathleen Turner was one of my greatest assignments ever.
I'll do my best to get that for you again.
There's only one Kathleen Turner.
I will say another thing too. I'm glad. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to start writing.
Yeah,
for the
I was going to
paper.
ask you how you like being our neighborhood reporter.
I love it, actually. So I've written in the past, as the Sorgs could attest to. I had a little bliggity blog back in the day, but it was always just like first person, like LOL, sex and wine, blah blah blah, the usual. And I've never actually had to like do interviews and put stories together and try to do justice to the people you talk to and the places you're talking about. So I just finished Wilkinsburg, which I'm actually pretty proud of that one. And side note, Marita Garrett, like, if you don't know the woman, she's going to be going some big places. She's amazing. But I really have enjoyed it, and I hope that I'm doing an okay job and you don't fire me.
No, you're doing great. I'll be honest. I didn't know what to expect because journalists have I'm sure journalists and PR people have certain preconceived notions about one another in their heads. I know I'll admit it. Over the years I've been pretty crappy on the phone to PR folks who call and don't really know my product, and they try and pitch me something that's so I could be. I've certainly been addicted to some PR people over the years.
Oh, yeah.
and
because they could be assholes. I always tried to not be like that. So Abby over at YEP just posted something on Facebook. She had a PR person pitch her for like some kind of skin rash cream.
Right.
Like YEP is going to cover your skin rash cream.
Right.
Like, I mean, so yeah, I think there's PR people that give PR people a bad name, but I will say I tried to always not be that person when I was in PR.
Right. Well, you never called us up at my old job and pitched us, pro energy stories. Because,
No, I didn't.
Right. The city paper at that time was probably not the place for energy stories. I
was all trib all the time when I was working in energy.
Oh yeah, probably Best Buddies, Business Times, Trib, yeah. Yeah. So I'm sorry, I had a next place to go, and I guess you can ask us anything if you have any questions for us about.
Nobody's
the first
asking us
year.
things. We've got a couple people that love us, and we love you too, Mike Lowe, one of my Hell on Hill runners, all 3 years. He's a three-peater, and he's a drummer in a band, Hell and Back. Go check him out. And DJ Kaufman, which DJ is awesome. I feel like he's an OG.
We should definitely talk about DJ Kaufman because DJ Kaufman is, without question, DJ. So I met DJ Kaufman when Wizard World Comic Con, when they came to town for the first year, when they bought their, I don't think they're around anymore. Yeah, no, they're gone. And
Business idea, startup Wizard Con.
So anyway, they pitched us, hey, how about doing a story on one local artist will be there, and this person could even do one of your covers. And I thought that's a great idea. And so they sent DJ, and we met with DJ in our conference room, and so we did an interview, and DJ's a great guy. And so then DJ said, I don't remember. DJ asked us what we were thinking, and all I knew is, for those that know me know that I freaking love the Hulk. The Hulk is my favorite superhero, and all I knew was that it had to have the Hulk in it. So DJ does this great cover of the Hulk and Superman in front of the David L. Lawrence Convention Center, taking a Segway tour. And you could just the details of like the sidewalk cracking under the Hulk as he goes on the Segway. It was great. And so from there we just realized that we had, we knew a really great, we'd met a really great artist to have, to make contact with. And then we did a bar crawl, and we brought DJ along, and DJ, every bar we went to, DJ would draw sort of a scene of the bar or his sort of interpretation of the bar on cocktail napkins. And so I think it was a long day, but we spent a long day drinking and drinking and going from bar to bar. I was driving, and I was very, very responsible.
Despite my best efforts, I've not been able to turn Charlie into a big drinker. So
not yet. Those are the younger days. But DJ. So then, when this all went down, honestly, one of the first people I heard was DJ, and he said, "Man, if there's anything that I can do for you, just let me know." And I talked to him. I talked to DJ about. He's done Kickstarters. I talked to him a little bit about that stuff. And then when we decided to do this, I asked him if he would do us the honor of drawing our first cover. And we didn't give him any direction. He just kind of knew, how we were starting and what our goal was. And there's on our website you can go, and if you search his name, DJ Kaufman, you'll see there's a little story, and I think a process video of him drawing that. He actually was on a business trip in Germany when he kind of came up with that idea of, I guess that's a character we call Frank C. And if you go to our website, you'll see our link for under merch, our spread shop. You can get Frank C. on a T-shirt or a hoodie or a backpack. Our columnist
Dave Bracey was just tweeting that he hadn't gotten a shirt yet, but you still can.
Yes, yeah, you can still get your Frank C. shirt, and be looking out. We're gonna be doing some other merch.
Yeah, I think we're gonna be up at our merch game.
Yeah,
a little bit here in 2019, late 2018. So if you've ever thought to yourself, "I love this paper so much, I literally want to cover myself in it," we're gonna take care of you.
Pittsburgh Current golf pants. But just to wrap up with my good friend DJ.
Yes.
So DJ also came to me along with Joe Wos and separately, and they were like, what you should do? You should do a comics page.
Yeah.
And I love the idea. It's something I always wanted to do. And so again, when you run it up the flagpole and you realize you're the flagpole, you're like, okay, we're gonna do a cartoon page. And DJ, you can read DJ's Secret Forces cartoon every 2 weeks in the Pittsburgh Current. And we've got so many great comics artists that are working with us. Andrea Shockling, Teresa Logan is great.
Teresa was just in our This Tastes Funny, which was amazing.
Yeah, Teresa was just a This Tastes Funny.
She opened for Ellen DeGeneres. Like, she's a badass.
Yeah.
Love that story. Good job, Haley.
Brad Perry. It was I'd seen Brad Perry's Pirate Mike cartoon around, and it always made me laugh. And I have to admit, I didn't think of him when I originally put the first roster together, but he reached out, and so I was going to run Pirate Mike as a one-off, but the strip is so good. It's been a regular since the beginning. It's been a regular appearing, and then we have a couple of we also have Matt Boers, local Pittsburgh native Matt Boers, who now does a nationally syndicated political cartoon. We have Matt, and we have probably, in my opinion, one of the best strips out there today, which is The Nightlife by Keith Knight. It is, and that's one that Joe Wose, who his new comic Yins Are Funny, can also be found in the Pittsburgh Current. But Keith Knight is socially relevant, and he's funny, and it's just the guy deserves more outlets than he currently has, and he'll be the subject. I think his new, I don't know if it's on Netflix or Hulu, but a show based on Keith's writing and Keith's life will soon be coming. I think it's to Netflix. So, we just got a great bunch of contributors, but yeah, DJ Kaufman has just been, again, one of those people that, you can't thank enough, and that goes for other folks like Ariana Behringer, Sue Kerr, the name that was just Dave Bracey. I mean, we sort of had that idea one day. Oh,
he did our fundraiser for us.
He did, office. Yeah.
He's the whole reason we have chairs to sit on.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that was our off. Dave Bracey
helped raise office furniture.
Dave Bracey paid for our office furniture, so we really appreciate that.
Not a lot of people could say that.
So, Dave, anytime you want to come down, a podcast guest a few weeks ago, Dave.
He was a great podcast guest.
He's a great dude.
I'm incredibly proud of the people that we've gotten to come on the podcast, and I think that it's been, it's different every week, but it's quality.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've really done a great job of mixing it up and getting different voices.
Yeah.
So I'm actually, that's another thing I think we've done really well with.
Yeah, and we definitely intend on we're gonna continue the podcast into the new year, and we're gonna continue the idea every week. We're gonna have a guest on. I mean, it's fun just to sit down and rap a little, but it's also, I think, this can be.
This is another news outlet.
Fun and informative. Yeah, absolutely. And we've really enjoyed buy-in from groups like the City Theater, who have provided us with. They're doing amazing things over there, and there are other, and that's sort of opened up an idea. Some other theater companies and have also sort of said, hey, we'd really love to give you some guests, and so I think you're going to see a lot of that in the new year. Definitely some. More artists on, more newsmakers.
Yeah.
We're gonna, on, and so if you've got an idea for a guest, or if you think you'd be a great guest, definitely hit us up, Charlie at PittsburghCurrent.com, or on the socials at PGH Current. That was almost a slip. .com. That should be. That's our outtake reel. How many times I said other things?
Yeah, we should have a blooper reel, except when we're live. No bloopers, Charlie.
No bloopers when you're live. It's reality, not bloopers.
Well, I guess in summary, to wrap this up, because we have an all-staff meeting coming up soon.
I actually didn't realize we've been yammering on for 45 minutes.
I could talk to you forever, Charlie.
Oh.
Hello?
Not my heart.
Wait. Yes.
A name was in my head, and the name went out of my head. Very important to note, although she's not working with us as much now, but Kim Lyons, the she's first meeting we ever had in Bethany's kitchen, Kim Lyons was there, and she came up with the idea for This Tastes Funny, and it was an idea that she had, and she said she always wanted to see a paper do it, and she gave that to us, and it's one of our most popular features, and I'm very, very, very happy and indebted to Kim for her work with us in the beginning of this as well. So
and Kim's just a badass in general. I mean, she
Kim
podcasts here, right, Mike? Doesn't she? Yeah, she's got the broadcast. Yeah, so check that podcast out too. No, Kim's just an all around badass person. So she's worth checking out her podcast.
Anyway, I interrupted you. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna wrap it up and
please wrap it up.
I'm gonna wrap it up. I'll take it. I can't help but sing, even though I should definitely not. I'm really grateful that this weird, wacky thing happened to us. And I'm so glad that we kept at it, even though I'm sure there were times where both of us were like, F this, I'm out. I'm just going to go get a job and be a regular person. I think it's going to be so worth it. I'm just so excited for 2019. Like I feel like we've gotten over the hump, and now we're like rolling, and it's a great place to be. And I couldn't imagine a better person to do it with than you, Charlie. I love you.
Likewise, I'm sure.
So yeah, that's it. My year interview is this was crazy, but awesome.
And it also seemed like I'm actually looking forward to it ending, because there was a point when it now didn't look like it was ever going to end, and it was just like it was. and that can be good, and it was good in some ways, but it was definitely we're ready to turn the page for 2019, and we hope you're going to turn it with us.
We have a request from F Yeah Dinosaurs. They'd like to see more dinosaur punk in 2019.
Yes.
I mean, I think we could definitely put that in the mix.
First of all, the group is Fuck Yeah Dinosaurs.
I wasn't going to swear on Facebook
no.
Live.
Listen,
Mark Zuckerberg's going to come to your house, Charlie. You're in so much trouble right now.
Suck it, Mark Zuckerberg. No, because that's the thing. That's one of my favorite band names in the entire city of Pittsburgh, and so I I'm going to throw props to that. And no,
More
arts
dinosaur
groups,
punk.
artists,
Heard
musicians, please hit us up, Charlie at PittsburghCurrent.com, and I'll make sure your emails get to the right person. But yeah, we definitely plan on continuing, and you're gonna see we're gonna be upping our game even as we get further into this, and as we get more resources and we get more more people writing, and we got a lot of great stuff planned. So we're looking forward to doing it with you guys, Dinosaur Punk or whatever. We're in for it. F yeah, dinosaurs. This is a free speech zone here, Bethany.
Free speech zone. Fuck. I feel
Anyway.
so free right now.
This has been the Pittsburgh Current podcast, and we will see you next year.
Peace.